In this episode of Restore It, I'm continuing with what feels like never-ending welding on the Mercedes W123. This time, it's the bottom of the rear windscreen, seemingly a place prone to rust. First things first, I need to remove the parcel shelf, 1 so I don't ruin it, and 2 so I can get a good look at both sides of the seam. Before I can get to the parcel shelf, I need to remove the first aid kit and disconnect the speakers. So this is what I'm dealing with. It's the same on both sides of the windscreen. Rust on the inner and outer of the two joining panels. I'm using a wire wheel to remove the surface rust, as well as the paint and filler surrounding the area. With that done, I can now see how much I actually need to cut out and replace. Before we really get into this episode, I want to quickly thank everyone's favourite game, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is a massive universe jam-packed with over 600 champions, all with their own unique factions and lore behind them. Recently, Raid has added the latest addition to its huge roster of bosses, and it's their biggest and baddest yet, the Hydra. With multiple different heads and each one having its own unique mechanic, it can share the pain and push the damage from itself onto your team, cloak itself in a cloud of poison, and loads more. The bosses have to be my favourite bit. This thing is definitely one of the toughest fights in the game, but it's absolutely worth it as you get some of the best artifacts around. And if the Hydra wasn't enough, there's more. Raid's also giving away a super limited edition champion to every player in the game. Some of you may recognise him as the esports legend and Navi superstar Simple. Between now and January the 28th, 2022, Simple's limited edition champ is available for free to both new and old players in Raid. All you have to do is log in for 7 days between now and January the 28th and he's yours. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you use my link or scan the QR code on screen, new players will get some free resources and a free mystery champion straight away to kickstart your game. You'll find these rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. Just click my link to see who you'll get. Big thanks to Raid for sponsoring this episode. Let's get to it. It's the same situation over this side, but maybe even worse. I'm not sure how well you can see this, but there's an old repair patch right in the middle of where I need to do mine. I'm thinking it may have rusted because of the repair, but at the same time it's clearly a bad spot for rust, as the other side's the same and this one had to be done in the first place. As I was doing this corner, I found a small patch in the middle that also needed work, and so I decided to start here. I'm not going to yabber on all of this video as the work pretty much speaks for itself, but if something that needs explaining pops up, I'll jump back in. I made this a little bit harder than I needed to by not cutting a straight line on the car, but instead of cutting more off the car, I made the piece fit with a bit of back and forth. I just wanted to say I really don't recommend these welding goggles. They're great for being able to have headphones on whilst you weld, but that's about it. As you just saw, I sometimes forget to drop the protective part down and then look directly into a weld, which is never fun. And 2, let's just say I've got a nice tan for the month of January. Sorry for the awful filming in this episode. I'm so focused on the welding and making sure I get it right that I keep forgetting I'm also making a video. With the middle sorted, I could move on to the bottom right corner, which as you can see is a million times more complicated than the piece I just did. I'm going to make it in two pieces, starting with the outer piece. I'm welding it together on the car to get the correct angle, and I'm making it larger than it should be because I can take away material more easily than I can add it. I'm going to add as much material as possible during this, as I don't want it to be too thin after I grind everything back. With the outer piece pretty much finished, I could mark and make the cut to remove the rust and get to work on the inner piece. Terrible filming here, but what I'm doing is cutting along the bottom edge with the air saw to free the piece. With that out, I can now see what needs to be done for the two inside pieces. I couldn't work out how this piece would go together off the car, so I decided to do it in two steps. First the bottom piece and then the top piece. Luckily, I could get to both sides of where the two pieces would meet. I missed the first few tacks on this piece, but you get the idea. This piece is going to sit behind the piece I made earlier on in the episode. I'm using 18 gauge or 1.2mm thick steel for all of these repairs, just so nothing ends up too thin or weak. I somehow forgot to record it, but I did weld the inside of this join and then sanded it back with a finger sander. And with the inner section complete, I could now cut the outer piece to size, add some holes and weld it in. And there we have it, my first windscreen repair in the bag, and I'm pretty pleased with it. That's all we have time for this week, as this took me ages to do, but up next for this Mercedes is the other rear corner, 2 at the front, and a small panel right at the front of the car. Thanks for watching, bye for now.